Oh, snap. Welcome back to the Mystery Project, y'all. My name's Patrick. Take a second, YouTube. Hit the thumbs up button for me if you like true crime. Hit the subscribe button. Do all the things. Welcome to the YouTube channel. We're live on TikTok. Been live on TikTok for a minute. And, yeah, we're going to be talking more about this whole Chris Watts, Nichol Kessinger craziness. We've been doing quite a few videos about this. I think this is like the fourth one now. But this is part 2 of the one that we watched last week. And this is Annie Elise. She's amazing. Y'all, make sure you're following her. If you're not, you need to. She's pinned down in the description. Annie Elise on YouTube. And TikTok, if you want to watch the video with us, you can. Come on over to the Mystery Project on YouTube. You'll find it very easily. Click the link in the bio or just search the Mystery Project. Okay, you guys ready? Let's go. Let's see what's happening here.
Now, the reason I say that this interview is now infamous is because it is used as a comparison interview to so many missing persons and murder cases. Almost any time a spouse now gives an interview, if they look even at the tiniest bit of suspicious, everybody will say, almost verbatim, you can probably say it before I even say it right now, he's given Chris Watts vibes. Because in this interview, he's like swaying back and forth. He's just looking.
Oh, man, the damn Chris Watts vibes.
Dead in the camera. He has his arms crossed. And so we've actually seen that body language and that behavior in quite a few interviews, as a matter of fact, post Chris Watts. The one that comes to mind the most is Trezell and Jackie West. They were from Bakersfield, California. They had 2 little boys that went missing. And that interview, people were calling out the red flags like from the jump. And so after this interview was given, people did identify it as suspicious right away. And they started noticing his body language. But now it is an interview that is constantly referenced all over the place in all sorts of different cases. And so not only was the public calling this out,
it is a pretty crazy interview,
as suspicious, the
nuts.
police thought that it was a little bit weird too. So that's when they decided to pull Chris in for his first official interrogation. This was on August 14th, one day after the disappearance.
What do you think happened? At first, I really thought maybe she was just at somebody's house, just decompressing. Yeah. But after today, like with the onslaught of all the cars, all the police cars, all the news, all the canine units, it's making me lean the other direction about someone took her. Okay. But it's just...
Is that what it's doing, Chris? Oh my gosh.
It would have to have been someone she knew.
What
because there's no sign of anything like being disturbed, broken. Mm-hmm. But like that's the way I'm leaning now. At first I thought for real she was just decompressing somewhere. I thought she was safe, even though everything in the house was left there. But now it's just after the day with the news crews and everything, it feels more the other direction, and it's freaking me out because I have no idea where they are. And this is like that's what's driving me nuts. It's like when I told the news crews, like if she's out there, like just come home. Like if someone has her, or like not just has her, but she's at somebody's house and she's just decompressing, it's time to come back. Good.
How dare you?
What a loser, man! This guy's he sucks. It's so fake. You can tell it's fake. He's talking about her in the past tense. He's not saying like, "Oh, they're gonna find her and everything's gonna be okay." He's like, "Yeah, she's, this was, this that." It's like, just, God.
Now this is real. Okay. This has gone to a different level. Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah, the level where they're going to put you in handcuffs, you idiot. By the way, TikTok, hit the follow button. Come over to YouTube if you want to watch it. The Mystery Project on YouTube. And YouTube, hit the thumbs up button for me. Oh, TikTok, hit me with those little crab things too. Apparently, that's what TikTok wants tonight. That's all they care about.
Do you have an inkling of if it's good or bad? Yes, I would have thought that she was safe and it was good that she would come home. Today it's more on the other side because I don't think that she would let it get this far if she was just decompressing somewhere. I mean, she's not talking to anybody. I don't feel like the love we have is there anymore. Okay. And it's just like I don't feel like
You don't feel like the love that you have was there anymore? No shit.
I mean, if if we want to stay together for the kids, I'm not sure if that's going to work. Like bringing
That's
us,
what you told
This
him.
guy
Okay.
sucks.
like having another baby, bringing us into this relationship. Do you think this is going to work with us being together, or separation? I think is going to be the best possible route for us. And that's when like all the crying and everything proceeded. And it was very hard just to talk about that. But I needed to do it face to face.
Okay.
And I needed to see her face, like while I did it. I couldn't text, phone, whatever. I needed to be face to face and be able to see her and know that she was going to be at least reciprocating back to me.
Oh, what did she say?
She said that she wanted to kind of work on it, but if that's the way I was feeling, then she respects that.
Okay.
And she said that most of the time when you have kids and you have a relationship where people like they don't love each other anymore, they fall out of love, there's connection, that having kids, even bringing a new baby into the equation, doesn't always work as well as keeping the couple happy and the kids happy. It's like it almost is like better if
Right.
two are on different sides.
Yeah, you don't want to spend your whole marriage just like
Man, this poor cop, he's like, man, I'm not your therapist, dude. Just tell me what you know. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
each other and facing for the kids.
Yes, and that's one thing.
Okay. Is that accurate? I don't want
Oh, yeah, that's totally accurate.
Okay.
I mean, you don't want to be the people parading around with like a mask on when the kids are around, and then when the kids go to sleep, you just go your separate ways.
Okay.
It's like, that's what I don't want.
And at about an hour into the interview, the detective told Chris that he looked suspicious. I mean, she and the girls just happened to disappear the same day that he said he wanted to separate. When does that ever happen?
Yeah.
Can we talk about something that's kind of hard to talk about?
Can we talk about something hard to talk about?
Like this,
The fact that we know you did it?
I have to keep an open mind on everything. Okay. And part of keeping an open mind is listening to you talk about your wife and your marriage. And the day she goes missing is the day that you guys have marital discord. Okay. So you can understand what I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Makes me sick to my stomach, honestly. Like, I know, like, I've talked to a few of my friends, like, this does not look good on you. I'm like, I know.
It makes me sick to my stomach.
It's like, if people knew that we were having marital issues, they're going to look at me, especially with the way everything looks. And it honestly just makes me sick to my stomach because this is something that I would never do. Ever. I know, like,
What's this? He goes, this is something I'd never do. What was this? What's this? What is the this you're talking about?
you have to look at every
He
day.
didn't say I would never do anything to them. He said I would never do this.
Point. This is something I would never do to my kids or my wife at all. I'm not sure, like, what I could do to make people believe that, just because if they knew her.
You don't want to make people believe that. They should just already know that. Man, this guy is an idiot. He's like, oh man, I just want to make people believe that I could never do it, instead of actually just not being the kind of person who could ever do it. Wow.
Have marital discord, they would automatically leave me. But I would harm anybody in my family at all. I know we were having marital discord, and we had that conversation that morning, and then she goes, we have no idea where she is, or the kids. I promise you that I had nothing to do with any of that.
Are you telling me the truth?
I'm sorry. Absolute truth.
Why should I believe you?
Because I'm a very trustworthy person, and the people that do know me, they know how I'm a calm person. I am not an argumentative person. I am a person who is never going to be abusive or physical in any kind of relationship. I would never harm my kids. I would never harm my wife. I mean, you can talk to any of my friends, any of her friends.
Uh-oh.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
Wow. It is crazy to go back and listen to these interviews like that where you're just like, what? What a garbage human being. By the way, TikTok, thanks for the follows. Hit the follow button. Tap the screen like crazy. Y'all hit me with those little crab things. Apparently, that's all TikTok cares about tonight. So hit me with a few of them. I'm going to pin it down there. And YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. There's a bunch of new people coming in. Y'all hit the follow button or subscribe button. I mean, on YouTube if you're new here. But let's get 100 likes, YouTube. Everybody watching, hit the thumbs up. Let's keep going.
They know me. They know I'm a low-key
Chevy girl,
guy
thank you.
that's quiet. So I'm not about confrontation. I'm
Searching
not
video.
about anything that elevates to that level. I mean, you can, like, if
hell
someone
does that
yells
even
at me,
mean?
screams at me, I just take it and I just try to get it by the wayside and get it back to where it's just a cool conversation to where, like, none of that gets to that height. Because I am not that person.
That's a whole lot of word salad.
I've never been that person.
So Chris just says he's a low-key guy, that he wasn't abusive, and that he would never hurt his wife or children. But here's the thing. During the entire interview, Chris was referring to Shanann and the girls in the past tense, almost like he knew that they weren't alive anymore. The detective clearly didn't believe anything that Chris said either, so he asked him if he would take a polygraph test. And Chris agreed.
And you understand that I'm not arresting you right now. You understand that you can walk out of here at any time.
Sure.
Okay. Having said that, I do want to talk to you. I have a lot more questions for you.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know where your wife is?
I'm not going to lie.
Are you telling me the truth?
I'm telling you the absolute truth.
Okay.
The investigators also asked to search Chris's phone, which he did agree to. And in it, they found text messages between him and Shanann, which indicated that they were, in fact, having a lot of marital issues. Chris had also told investigators that he had called the local hospitals, to see if Shanann or the girls maybe were there. Maybe there had been some terrible accident. But now, when the police were looking
There was, but it was you, Chris.
at his phone records, they saw that each of those calls made to these hospitals lasted less than a minute. That seemed way too short of a time to get an answer. Which, I mean, think about it. Even if they answer right away and they don't put you on hold for any reason, it's going to take some time to explain who you are, who you're looking for, verify who you are, and then the person who's on the call would have to check their records almost immediately, which I don't see all of that activity happening in a minute, no less than a minute. I can't even make an appointment for literally like a dentist checkup in that amount of time. So it definitely seemed more likely that he called these hospitals and just quickly hung up, just making sure that at least it was inside his call log, just making sure that having those numbers inside his log would be enough. Show that he truly did call and look like the curious, husband who wanted answers. But that was just theory. The police had to test this theory. So as a test, an officer called one of those hospitals and gave them a fake name. And they asked if that person was a patient there. And it took over 2 minutes for him to get an answer. So it was just another thing that made the detectives think that something just wasn't right with Chris. They did learn that Chris had contacted Shanann throughout the day. He had called her numerous times and sent her several text messages saying things like, "If you take the kids somewhere, please let me know where they're at. Can you call me, please? Where are you?" But after one of these calls, Chris also called the daycare that the girls went to. And according to the school's officials, he called to unenroll his daughters, which I gotta say, it is just super, super suspicious.
You what?
That is crazy.
If you ask me. If your children are missing, you're not calling their school to unenroll them.
No.
That seems a little premature. But that wasn't all. The detectives also discovered that Chris had been keeping an even more massive secret from them. Shanann was right. He was having an affair. He was having an affair with a coworker named Nichol Kessinger. And boy, oh boy, once the police got a hold of Nicole's phone, it painted a very clear picture. So early the next morning, on August 15th, an FBI agent was able to corroborate Chris's claim that he was having an affair with Nichol. A regional manager from his job called to say that they had found some emails to prove it. And almost 2 hours later, Nichol called the
Damn.
police herself and told them that she was, in fact, having an affair with Chris. Now, there's some speculation as to why she called the police at this specific time, and I will talk about that in a little bit because we have
She knew it was up. She knew the jig was up. She's like, "Oh hell, I better cooperate now. I'm gonna spend my life in jail too."
got a lot to talk about regarding Nichol. But for now, let's just say Nichol said that she called them because she says she saw Chris on the news, and she realized in that moment that he had been lying about his marriage and about Shanann's pregnancy. Nichol was under the impression, according to her, that the marriage was already over, and she had absolutely no idea that Shanann was pregnant. So the investigators continued to do some digging, and they discovered
Nicole.
that Chris and Nichol had started talking in the early months of summer in 2018. Nichol also worked at Anadarko, and she would sometimes see Chris in the break room. Then one day, Chris went by her office and started talking to her. Then the casual break room chats turned into something more. And one day Chris went by her office and started talking to her there. Then he added her to his phone as a contact on June 14th. They met up outside of the office later that month, and Chris had told Nichol that he and his wife were in the process of separating and that he was also almost divorced. So by July, while Shanann was away with the kids in North Carolina, Chris and Nichol were having a field day. They were seeing each other 4 to 5 times a week. Their relationship had also become physical by this point, and later that month, Chris told Nichol that his marriage was officially over. On July 14th, they went on a date at the Shelby American Collection Car Museum, and while they were there, Shanann had tried calling Chris 4 different times, but each time, the calls went unanswered. And just remember, this was all during the time where Shanann was freaking out because something seemed off with Chris. However, he would never tell her what it was. A few days later, on July 18th, Nichol sent Chris these semi-nude bikini pictures.
Man, you are crazy as hell throwing away all that for that.
Which he decided to save on a secret app on his phone. It's an app that looks like a normal calculator app, but it's actually a secret place to store photos or videos so that if somebody happens to see that app, if they're going through your phone, they won't suspect that it's a hidden folder. It's disguised, as a calculator. So she sends him all these really cringe nude, semi-nude, I should say, bikini photos of herself, and he saves them into that app. Then 10 days after that, Chris and Nichol go on a trip together to the Great Sand Dunes National Park. And there, they spent the night together. So he's ignoring his pregnant wife, his 2 young girls. He's making Shanann feel so insecure, all while he's in this, romantic whirlwind with his coworker, while his wife is calling him, texting him, pleading with him, trying to make things better. And as if that wasn't bad enough, on July 30th, Chris gave Nichol a card that had a love letter written inside of it. Then he just up and left to go see his family in North Carolina like nothing ever happened. All while Chris and Nichol continued to message and stay in contact with each other while Chris was away. And remember how I said that Chris was at that baseball game on August 11th and he had paid the $60 for that beer and salmon, and Shanann knew something was off about that? Well, no surprise.
Beer and salmon.
Obviously, but Chris was actually on a date with Nichol that night. That's why the bill was so high. Which I gotta say, that is just so gross to me that he stuck his $2 with a babysitter so that he could go out on a date with his mistress while his wife was on a work trip. You are the scum of the earth. And so when Shanann said that she thought that Chris was, getting it from somewhere else, she was right. Call it a woman's intuition. I always say a woman's gut feeling is the most powerful thing on the planet. And while she was in North Carolina working, taking care of the kids, he was literally running around with a woman that he met at work. And on top of all of that, right before and after the girls went missing, Chris was searching online for different things like secluded vacation spots and 2-person cars. He was also texting with a realtor.
2-person cars? What the hell does that mean?
The exact day that his family went missing. He was inquiring about selling his house. And at one point, the realtor asked why Shanann hadn't texted her at all, and Chris just said that he didn't know where she was, and he asked the realtor to pray for them. Which, what a bizarre conversation, right?
That is crazy.
I mean, I would love to know what was going through that realtor's head in that moment. When some guy texts and casually just mentions, oh, by the way, my wife is missing, but don't let that get in the way of me selling our house. Also, the fact that he was searching a 2-person car. Look, I'm no expert, but to me, that signals premeditation. You only are going to get a 2-person car if you know that you're not going to need 2 car seats behind you. So the girls are still missing. Nobody knows anything. All the while, he is still continuing to text Nichol about their life together, even when people were actively searching for Shanann, Cece, and Bella. Now, I know that that's a lot, and that's all of what the police learned in just one day. Just one day of searching his phone. And also on that same day, or more accurately, that night, they got a phone call from Shanann's mom, Sandy. She told the police that she was positive that Chris did something to Shanann. He had hurt her. She noticed how he had been acting very weird lately, and she added that if he did in fact try to hurt Shanann, she wouldn't be able to fight back because of her lupus. Sandy was particularly afraid that Chris was going to pour oil on the bodies and dispose of them somewhere. It was a very specific concern of hers, and she told the police about it. So on August 15th, now 2 days after Shanann and the girls had been reported as missing, Chris took that polygraph test. Now, while all of this was going on, other officers were searching the Watts family home. They noticed how clean everything was in the home, but otherwise nothing really seemed too out of the ordinary. At first, that is. Because when they went to the master bedroom, they noticed that the bed was completely stripped. There weren't any sheets, no blankets, nothing.
You crazy as hell.
The search team ended up finding the top sheet and the pillowcases, but get this, they were shoved inside the kitchen trash can. They also couldn't find a fitted sheet that matched the set. They couldn't find it anywhere. Now, by this point, as I'm sure you probably would be and have guessed, everybody was suspicious of Chris. His story just wasn't making any sense. His behavior was weird. The police knew that he was cheating on Shanann.
He's crazy as hell.
I mean, there were so many red flags going on. So one of the CBI agents even told Chris that, given the circumstances, it would actually be really dumb for you to take a polygraph test, because if you did do something to the girls, we're going to find out. But Chris said that it was okay. He had nothing to lie about. He wasn't going to lie. So they did the test.
Tons of polygraphs, obviously, in my training. I went to 10 weeks for training. I've been a polygrapher for about 5 years. I went to the best school in the country. So I want you to have confidence in the fact that you had nothing to do with this disappearance. Like, we're going to find that out today, okay? I have the best training that they offer in the United States. We use the most validated testing. That's the way I'm going to ask you the question. So believe me, if you had nothing to do with this, I will be able to show them that today, okay? So that should give you some confidence that this is how, you're going to be cleared today if you had nothing to do with it, okay?
And it was just like, all right, so at this point, I'm hoping, all right, she's at a friend's house, she's safe, and she's just, decompressing, or, she's safe. But, that night, as I'm, calling, hospitals and hotels, and it's there's nothing, there's nothing there, nobody's had her check in, there's nothing at all. And then that was just dramatic because I had every light in the house on just in case, I went late in bed, but I didn't sleep. I was just sitting there, just I had friends that came over.
He's crazy as hell.
Nick and Amanda came over for a little while and they showed support. My friends Dave and Jeremy came over, they showed support. Shanann's friend Lauren came over, she showed support. Another friend, Melissa, came by that I didn't know that she showed support. Everybody's just I don't know why this happened or how this happened, but I hope that she's okay, type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just I was just hoping that I would get that knock on the door or a phone call or a text. Her phone, they have her phone, hopefully maybe it's a number I don't know. Hopefully it's a burner phone or some kind of phone she bought, and she could just text me and call me hey, I'm okay. Something. Or just get a knock on the door and then the kids just run in. And I was it did happen. And when I was going through that night, just trying to process everything, I miss the kids sitting at the dinner table and having to tell them to eat their dinner, and I miss them throwing their chicken nuggets at me. I was, when I went to their rooms, just kind of make their beds. And it's I wasn't gonna turn the rain machines on, I wasn't gonna read them a book. I wasn't gonna kiss them goodnight. I wasn't gonna knew that that wasn't going to play in the playroom. I wasn't giving them like their nightly snack, like their nighttime snack. I wasn't, giving them their medicine. I wasn't, getting them dressed for bed. All that,
This dude is crazy.
like, it just hit me.
Yeah, because you did it. All this stuff. I wasn't gonna be able to feed them their nighttime. Well, of course not. You took their lives, you crazy sack of garbage. Insane. TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific time. We're listening to Annie Elise break down the Chris Watts and like the blaming it on the Mistress video that she has. So y'all come on in, hit the follow button. YouTube, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button for me. Let's get 100 likes. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube and TikTok. If you want to watch the video, you can. And if they shut TikTok down, I do it all on YouTube anyway, so you might as well come over and subscribe to the YouTube channel so that if they do shut down TikTok, you can still find the channel, see all the videos, all the live streams, everything. The Mystery Project. So come on in, come on over. Let's go. All right, let's keep going.
It's like I'm not turning the monitor on to watch them because they're not here. It's like, where are they? And then I was just like, I didn't.
When this lady says, by the way, I know that you're lying. Man, can you imagine his stomach fell right out of his backside.
I didn't want to stay in the house that night, but I knew I had to just in case, like, maybe they came home. Maybe they would come in that front door, garage door or something. Something would happen. But nothing happened that night. So I just laid in bed and took phone calls and texts from all our friends that I couldn't sleep either. And just asking for prayers. Just asking prayers in general. Just like, these kids are never going to come home. They're going to come home safe.
These kids are never going to come home? What the hell?
And the next day, well, detective, he called me about 2 a.m. just saying like they were going to do like the missing persons report, and I'll get that all going. But yeah, it's like the next day, like when everything like started happening as far as the news crews like pulling in, and then all the canine units and the drones flying over my house. It was just like, and all of a sudden, like, this is not, she's not, they think something happened. Because all this right here, this means that, okay,
maybe something happened? God, this dude is annoying.
my worst fear,
Oh, something happened, all right.
that's where this is going right
Mitten Kitten, thank you. Y'all, let's get it.
now. Because I thought
6
she was
times.
just at somebody's house and she was safe. But now, just going down the other direction with all this going on, with the dogs coming in, with the news media, everything just kind of happening. It's like, all right, this has gone to a totally different direction. And it's like, I was when all my friends like were coming over to give me some support, I knew that like, all right, like I was happy. All my friends just came over to just support. I didn't want to be alone at that point in time. Like this is the time you don't want to be alone at all. And my friends are supporting me all through this, and I just want to find them. I want them to come home safe. Like wherever they are, I hope they are safe. And I really hope they can just come home.
After the polygraph test, Chris was left alone for a little while. 2 agents came back into the room, and that's when they shared the results with Chris.
So, it was completely clear that you were not honest during the testing. I think you already know that. You did not pass the polygraph test, right? Okay. So now we need to talk about what actually happened.
Damn.
Probably ready to do that.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise. Chris, I know. Stop. It's time. Just stop for a minute. Take a deep breath.
Oh, that part. Yeah, the laugh, Leslie, right? Crazy.
I want you to take a deep breath right now.
There's a reason you feel sick to your stomach. And when people hold stuff inside, it makes you physically ill.
And I can just tell on your face, I could tell from the second you walked in that you were wanting to just come clean and just be done with this. And I appreciate that because you knew sitting down in that chair that you weren't going to pass today. And you knew I was going to find out because I told you that. And then you continued to stay knowing that you could, at the end, say, you know what? I just need to get this off my chest. Like, I just need to tell you what happened. We're not here to play games. We're not here to do any of that with you. We just want to know what happened.
Damn.
So can you start from the beginning and tell us what happened?
Everything that I had told you, I did not lie on this polygraph. I don't know how much I could tell you right now. Like, I did not.
It's not even an option right now because you did not pass the polygraph. So I know you were being deceptive. So that's not even an issue right now. The issue right now is what happened to Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. That's the issue right now.
Okay.
Okay. So let's talk about that. I know you want to tell us. I can see it in your face. Holding this lie in is going to do nothing for you.
I know this. Like,
Okay.
I'm not like trying to like cover things up. Like,
Yeah, but you kind of are because it's normal. Normal people would do that. Normal people that make a mistake initially are going to go, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. That's normal. I would expect that. It's just like if you ask your kid, did you write on the wall? And they go, no. And you're like, you have a marker on your hand. Like, I know you just wrote on the wall. And they're like, oh, okay. That's a natural reaction that someone's going to initially lie about something like that and then eventually tell the truth. So this is your eventually telling the truth time. This is where...
Yeah, she hit him with this is your eventually telling the truth time. So, and he kept saying, I didn't lie on the polygraph. I didn't lie. I was. And she goes, we're past that. We're past that. She goes, I know you did. You were being deceptive. So what actually happened? Tell us the truth. You want to tell us the truth? You haven't yet. Now's the time. Damn, I'm telling you, man, he must be sitting there just like, he's not moving. He's like, oh.
This is where the rubber meets the road, Chris. Like, don't let this continue any longer, please.
I'm not trying to make anything continue. Like, I want them back home. Like,
but you know they're not coming back home. You know that.
I don't know in the back of my head. I hope they come back home.
But you know they're not.
I hope they come back home.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know they're not coming back home.
At one point, Chris said that he probably failed because he hadn't talked about his affair with Nichol before. But the investigators knew that that was not the only reason why he failed. And then Chris asked if he could talk with his dad privately. His dad had flown in from North Carolina the previous day. So finally, when Chris's dad came in and they had their private conversation, Chris confessed. Well, I should say, he confessed to his first version. So according to Chris, on August 13th, he and Shanann had talked about separating, about divorcing. She freaked out, and he says she went upstairs and that's when she smothered Bella and Cece, killing them. He says he didn't see her do it, but he did hear some commotion coming from upstairs. So he went upstairs to see what was
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
going on, and that's when he found out what Shanann had done. So he says he freaked out, and in a complete rage, he strangled Shanann to death. Afterwards, he then put the bodies in the backseat of his truck. This was around 5 a.m. on the morning of the 13th. Then, he drove to one of those oil sites where he worked, and he buried Shanann in a shallow grave. Then, he put Bella and Cece in the crude oil tanks. He even told the police exactly where they could find their remains. So that night, the investigators went out to that site, and they found Shanann's body. This was around 11 p.m. They also found that missing bedsheet from the bedroom, also parts of a broken rake that was all near Shanann's body. And Chris admitted that he had used that rake to cover her body with brush. However, even though they had found Shanann at this point, they still had to wait until the next day to get Cece and Bella. So on August 16th, the police went back to the site. They had to climb to the very top of the tanks to get to the openings. I mean, we're talking 20 feet high. And up there, they saw a tuft of blonde hair on one of the tanks. hair that of course belonged to one of these little girls. They also noted how small the openings were. They were only about 8 inches in diameter, so they wondered how Chris was able to possibly squeeze their little bodies through that opening. Did he contort them? Did he break bones? How did they fit through an 8-inch opening? They ended up draining all of the oil out of the tanks so that they could recover the bodies, and this took hours, but then they finally got the girls' bodies out. Now, no one actually believed the story that Chris had told about Shanann killing the girls. She was a great
Yeah, of course not, because that wouldn't ever happen.
mother, a protective mother. She never would have done that. I mean, no matter how upset she was about separating from Chris, she never would have killed her daughters. So instead, they thought that he was lying, and that he had been lying the entire time. When he was
Because he
calling
had.
and texting her, asking her where she was and where the girls were, that was all just to cover his own tracks. Which honestly, he didn't do that great of a job at. He was pretty suspicious from the start. So on August 21st, Chris was officially charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, plus 2 additional
Damn.
first-degree charges for the death of a child who was under 12 years old. He was also charged with the unlawful termination of a pregnancy and 3 counts of tampering with a body. On September 1st, a funeral was held for Shanann, Cece, Bella, and unborn baby Nico. The funeral was held in Pinehurst, North Carolina, and Chris was not mentioned once during the ceremony. When Chris did enter a plea on November 6th, 2018, he pled guilty to all of the charges. He finally
He shouldn't have been mentioned at all.
admitted that he had killed Shanann and his daughters. And at his sentencing on November 19th, Shanann's mother gave a very emotional testimony where she asked the district attorney not to seek the death penalty.
God makes no mistakes on
What?
who he puts in your life. Marriage is about love, trust, and friendship and unity. We marry for sickness and health, to death do us part. Our daughter Shanann loved you with all of her heart. Your children loved you to the moon and back. Shannon's family was her world. Shannon put a crown on your head. But unfortunately, the day that you took their life, God removed that crown. We loved you like a son. We trusted you.
Why do her parents call her Shannon, but like everybody on the internet says Shanann? Because her mom and I heard her dad say Shannon, but everybody calls her Shanann. Anybody else know what that's all about?
Your faithful wife trusted you. Your children adored you, and they also trusted you. Your daughter Bella Marie sang a song proudly. And I don't know if you got to see it, but it was, Daddy, you're my hero. I have no idea who gave you the right to take their lives. But I know.
Oh, y'all are saying her real name is Shannon, but she changed her name to Shanann, or at least the pronunciation. Gotcha.
God and his mighty angels were there at that moment to bring them home to paradise. God gives us free will. So not only did you take the family of 4, your family of 4, you took your own life. I want the world to know that our daughter and her children were so loved by us. There will always be protected by God and his mighty angels. I didn't want death for you because that's not my right. Your life is between you and God now, and I pray that he has mercy for you. From Shannon's mother, Bella Marie, Celeste Catherine, and Nico Lee's, Nana. Thank you, Your Honor.
Now, this is far from over because we still have to talk about Nichol, about her phone searches, and everything else. So much that makes people believe that she truly was involved in this.
Oh, hell.
You what?
Yeah, y'all leave a comment. Let me know, what do you think Nichol was involved? We're going to have to watch the rest of it tomorrow because it's like another hour, I think, or 40 minutes, hour, something like that. So I love you guys. Thanks for being back. I am back. Tomorrow night, we will watch the conclusion of Blaming the Mistress. YouTube, when it ends, is going to kick you over to the Haunted side on YouTube. Go watch some of that. I love you guys, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.